Meanwhile, the destruction of a military warehouse in the Luhansk region and an Iskander missile launcher in Crimea. Russian air defense operators are at a loss, powerless, because they are unable to intercept Ukrainian flamingos. Yes, Ukraine is moving to liberate its rightful territories. Let's look at all the details.
Ukrainian forces are steadily intensifying their strike campaign. Hostile logistics facilities and personnel are coming under heavy fire. All is going to plan. Putin and the MOD can't keep up with making missiles and drones.
We were asked to drastically reduce the production of what is needed at the front.
A successful strike on a Shahed drone warehouse and a converted Russian armed forces deployment point at the Donetsk airport.
So, are you filming this now? Yes, I agree. And that is absolutely correct and perfectly accurate.
Powerful explosions are being heard in the occupied Luhansk region. In the video, you can hear a warehouse with missiles for enemy air defense detonating. Which the occupiers kept literally next to a residential area, Dolzhansky Sverdlovsky. Local residents wrote about this. Representatives of the resistance movement in the enemy-occupied territories of Donbas directly contributed to these precise strikes.
So you're selling out your homeland for a pittance, you scum? Why are you filming this and posting it online? Why are you providing information?
While the Russians were shelling peaceful cities in Ukraine, the defense forces were harvesting military targets in annexed Crimea. There, Special Operations Forces units hit the launch pads with long-range drones. Iskander. The Iskander OTRK is a formidable and highly elusive target. The installation was ready for an attack on Ukraine. The crew was nearby. A secondary detonation of the ammunition was recorded. Several drones successfully struck an entire Iskander storage facility in the small village of Kurortny.
An Iskander costs the Russian army about $700,000 and for export more than $2 million.
They are in complete shock because now Russian air defense cannot intercept the Flamingo.
At this moment,
We can produce about 3 missiles a day.
The Flamingo is a unique missile developed by Ukrainians. It's quite large, with a wingspan of 7 meters and a warhead weighing about 1 ton. It is launched from a ground-based launcher and can fly to its target at fairly low altitudes.
with the Flamingo missile, we can destroy Iskander launchers. Right now, we're experiencing a kind of tsunami of positive news from our defense forces units. Numerous logistics hubs and Iskanders have been destroyed.
Valiant Ukrainian defenders are also destroying the enemy at sea. They struck 2 military vessels. The enemy railway ferry Slavyanin was put out of commission, and another vessel was damaged, Avangard. They were the primary components of the so-called Kerch ferry crossing and were actively utilized for transporting various types of weaponry, military equipment, and ammunition. Kerch Bridge, you better get ready.
There are even more of them way up there. More on the right side, more over on the left. They are just everywhere, stretching towards the bay. The bay was blown up. The bay.
The defense forces continue turning Russian equipment into scrap metal. The Russian occupiers have lost the Nibo-U radar station near Hvardiske in Crimea. An S-300 air defense radar station was destroyed near Sadov in the Donetsk region. In Donbas, command and observation posts were hit near Vuhlehersk, Kravsky, and Kermenchuk. Ukrainian Special Operations Forces continue to destroy enemy targets so that Russia cannot wage war against Ukraine. Our courageous defenders are advancing steadily forward to reclaim and liberate every inch of the territory that dictator Putin occupied with his army.
No money, not even for drones? Inside Russia, propagandists have started talking about serious financial problems, and they're doing it live on the air. Is the Russian military-industrial complex really starting to feel a budget shortfall? And why are there fewer drones now? We'll tell you all about it in our report. There's simply no money. You hang in there.
Here.
No money, but you hang in there. Now, in Russia, they're saying this to both citizens and the military. The Russian military-industrial complex is in a major crisis, so major that even propagandists have begun discussing it on air.
Everyone involved with the military-industrial complex right now knows there's no money, so you need to cut back. We can't afford it. And why is that? Because they've brought the economy to its knees. So what are you suggesting we fight with? Tell me, please, do we need, say, Mavics? But you have to pay for them and bring them in? With what money? The demand is enormous, but there's no money. No orders either.
The front is saying, give us what we need. But there's no cash for it, is there? Take Iran. They've got giant underground factories built by Koreans, or so the deputies say.
And what about us? How many mines are there in Donbass that could be repurposed and used for production? But money is needed. What are we going to fight with? Musin's rifles have already run out. What Putin's courtiers feared most has happened. Problems in the Russian economy caused by the war are now also affecting the ability to wage this war further. Going forward, military production is on the brink.
You see, the situation is such that, in principle, Russia's philosophy is to throw everything into the military sphere and sacrifice the civilian sector. To sacrifice it. But there's a nuance. If there isn't even enough for the military, then no matter how much political will there is to spend on defense, it just doesn't work out. And in fact, that's what is causing the hysteria not only from Solovyov, but also from many so-called military correspondents, that in Russia's economy, there really isn't enough money. This is when enterprises, including military ones, fulfill orders but don't get paid. After that, they have nothing to pay their workers with and they shut down. Well, not all of them, of course, but even in Russia's military-industrial complex, there are already cases where enterprises connected to the defense industry have shut down. There is going to be a budget sequester in Russia now. What is a sequester? It's when a budget is adopted, a short period of time passes, and it becomes clear that there simply isn't enough money left for the expenses that were planned start getting cut. But why is this happening again? Because the economy isn't working and isn't generating the necessary profit.
But it would be wrong to say that there is no money at all in Russia. But the immediate outlook for Russian defense factories is to reduce their budgets even further and scale back their production even more. At the same time, Putin still wants to continue the war. After all, let's not forget, for him, the worst thing is to lose face. That's exactly why to the whole world. He is trying to prove that Russia can keep fighting for many more years. You know,
This lies the problem of the Russian mentality. I always give a historical example. World War I. Germany was doing perfectly well in World War I. It's not like Berlin was being captured. There were no military operations on German territory. As German soldiers used to joke, they could see Paris through their binoculars. And at that moment, the German government analyzes the situation and realizes that their economy is collapsing. The economy doesn't allow you to keep fighting. To put it in much simpler terms, you either stop paying pensions and salaries to public sector workers but continue the ongoing military conflict, or you choose to surrender completely and preserve the possibility for the economy to survive. When you think several moves ahead, you inevitably follow the path of Germany in World War I. But when you don't think ahead at all, you end up behaving exactly the way Russia is acting right now. That's why many people, including Donald Trump, are asking, we can clearly see that your entire economy is collapsing. Why is it that you do not want to stop the war? They say, no, we will keep on fighting. Well, accordingly, they like to say that they're fighting to the last citizen of Ukraine, but in reality, they're fighting to the last ruble in their treasury.
a vivid proof that Russia cannot continue the war on its own is also the fact that the Kremlin is trying to get help from other partner countries. But one of the Kremlin's strategically important partners was Iran, which now cannot even supply Russia with the necessary number of drones.
Accordingly, what Russia did not receive remained in Iran, and Iran used it. There was simply not enough time, as they often say, under these wartime conditions to redo the inscription Shahed for Iran, so the drone flew with the original inscription Shahed for Iran. And this is clear proof that the cooperation is really exceptionally close and incredibly tight. And now, by the way, I want to draw your attention to exactly how many drones there were. Well, let's take a closer look together, the end of 2025. Throughout January and the first half of February 2026, there was a staggering number of drones that Russia was launching into Ukraine every single night. And during periods of particularly intense aerial attacks, there were between 700 to 800 drones. Everyone was writing that 1,000 drones was a prospect for the very near future, maybe even weeks, not even a month. What do we see now? The latest massive attack on Ukraine, 400, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 460 drones. So not only was there not 1,000, there weren't even 500. And this, it seems to me, is confirmation that to a large extent, these drones are made from components produced in Iran.
Russia wanted to gain something in the war against Ukraine, but it turned out that it keeps losing. It seems there is only one person left in Russia who believes that everything is going according to plan. And
now it's time to discuss in detail the situation on the Mariupol front. The Russian world continues here as well to destroy, kill, and maim. On the Mariupol front, there were 20 attacks by the occupiers in the area of Mariupol and towards Zheleznodorozhny, Varvarivka, Svatopetrivka, Oleno-Kostiantinivka, and Charivne. The enemy also carried out airstrikes on the areas of the settlements of Karivne, Huliaipolske, Kapani, Mirne, Vozdvizhenka, and Verkna Tersa. Novoselivka and Barvinivka. 3 combat clashes are still ongoing. Ukraine itself is protecting its own skies, a unique sky shield over a vast country. The number of Russian drones being shot down has increased many times over. Thanks to what and to whom is all this becoming a reality? We'll tell you everything right now.
The Ukrainian air defense system is now reaching a completely new level.
Right now, Ukraine is capable of shooting down most of these Shahed drones on its own.
Ukraine is building a new model of defense, flexible, technological, and adapted to modern warfare. It's not just about equipment. In recent months, the effectiveness of Ukrainian air defense has noticeably increased. This is thanks to changes in the command system, redistribution of resources, and new personnel decisions in the Air Force.
The effectiveness of Ukrainian air defense in terms of counteraction. The effectiveness of Ukrainian air defense in countering drones has increased significantly due to the efficient use of the forces and resources we have at our disposal. This follows recent personnel changes, including within the Air Force. And specifically because Pavlo Yelizarov has joined the team there.
For the renewed Ministry of Defense, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has set a strategic priority. For us, it's 2026.
Either the United States will grant us a license for Patriot, or we will secure a license from one of our European partners. Or Ukraine will develop its own air defense system. We cannot afford to reject any of these approaches. But which will happen first, we'll see.
In other words, Kyiv is considering several scenarios at once, from licensing Western technologies to creating its own air defense system. The president emphasizes that for Defense Minister Mikhailo Fedorov, the key task is precisely to secure Ukraine's skies. We
will take steps in air defense and missile development. We will need to have several hundred systems. We don't have 100 or 200 years to wait for one system per year. We need production. We must protect the sky. After that, we will need to protect the ports and reopen the airports. And
Ukraine is currently working on developing its own air defense system, which in many ways is similar in its basic principles to the Israeli Iron Dome.
At the moment, we clearly understand the 4 components that will work together to create our Ukrainian dome. It will be different from the Israeli one because our dome needs to be much larger. On our dome, let's say the Israeli dome is just a small spot, I mean purely in terms of size. So it's possible to saturate that small spot. But to completely saturate our defensive dome, let's say, with large missiles like the Patriot or Iris-T, that is simply impossible. That is why we will have our own solution. It exists, it has been officially approved, and we are still moving forward with it.
During one of the latest massive Russian attacks, Ukrainian air defense intercepted about 500 aerial targets. And what's especially noteworthy is that on that night, Ukrainian forces managed to destroy all the cruise missiles launched.
Missiles. Today, we have achieved a 100% interception rate of cruise missiles. It is actually quite rare for 100% of missiles, such as the KH-101 or Kaliber, to be successfully intercepted.
Such a result is not a coincidence. To a large extent, it became possible thanks to the Ukrainian innovative method of countering aerial attacks. Today, this experience is already being closely studied by military experts around the world. In
modern warfare, it is impossible to fight using expensive missiles. Several different alternative types of weapons are required for the mission. Everyone has realized that Ukrainian interceptor drones are such an alternative, and today we see just how there is great interest in this type of weapon. And
today, Ukrainian technologies are entering the global market. Several countries are showing interest in Ukrainian drones and interception systems at once, from the Middle East to Europe. According to Western media, the United States of America, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Bahrain are negotiating the purchase of Ukrainian drones.
while our drones are remarkably affordable and budget-friendly, were hard-won by us. Across the vast and diverse landscapes found throughout the entire European continent, from the northern reaches to the south,
they are now discussing not only deliveries but also joint production.
Today, Europe's security is built on technology and drones. There are several different projects. The entirety of these developments will be largely based on advanced Ukrainian technological innovations and highly skilled Ukrainian specialists and experts. We are simply in a state of war right now, and not all companies yet feel free enough to expand their operations into various international markets.
Ukrainian air defense systems are becoming more precise every day. Interceptor drones are more effective, and the experience of Ukrainian engineers and military personnel is attracting worldwide attention. Now, Ukraine is not only defending itself, it is creating new standards of air security. And it proves that technology can become the key to a nation's independence and security.